Today I'd like to continue our journey through the book of Judges and take a look at chapter 17, having just finished the amazing story of Samson. We get into another judge, Micah. Interestingly, Micah means who is like Yahweh. Uh, Interesting name for a judge, somebody who really tries to emulate, follow God. Micah tells his mother that he had the 1,100 silver shekels that she was missing. So mom is like, where are all these shekels? 1,100, not a small amount. And Micah, the son, had taken them, and he gave them back to his mother. Thank goodness. His mother took 200 of them and gave them to the silversmith. And the silversmith made a carved idol out of them and overlaid it with silver. So here again you have this time in the history of the Israelites where, yes, they worship God, and Micah is supposed to mean someone who is like Yahweh, but of course he's stealing, and his mother is creating an idol. So are they really like Yahweh? Are they really following God's covenant? Not really at this point. Um, This was, though, an idol of the Lord. The Mosaic law forbade making any images at all, even an image of the true God. And again, how would you have an image of Yahweh who really never appeared in human form? So what type of image would you have of Yahweh? So this idol remained in Micah's house, and he had a sanctuary in the house. And in the sanctuary, he has an ephod and he has household idols there in the house. And it's interesting, again, not only this larger idol, but even individual household idols. So, very much straying from the Mosaic law. He also consecrates one of his sons, who became his priest. So there's Micah, and he makes one of his sons a priest. But priests were to come from the tribe of the Levites. And Micah, not of that tribe. So again, what is he doing? Taking kind of the law into his own hands in many respects and not following the Mosaic law. And the comment of the author of this section of Judges is interesting. It says there was no king in Israel at this time, so everyone did what he thought was best. And you can see that at this point in the book of Judges, there's going to be a push for there to be a king. They would think that the king would bring some order to the people because they were doing all these things that were really not following the law of Moses. But we're going to see when they have the kings, it's not too much better. So there was a young Levite who was living with the tribe of Judah in Bethlehem, again, the priestly tribe. But he's living with another tribe. And this would have been the case at this time. There would have been people from the different tribes living among other tribes. They didn't necessarily always live with their own tribe because they traveled a bit and they were involved with farming and trade and other pursuits that would make them relocate to a different area. And of course, into marriage would be part of that as well. They would marry somebody from another tribe. So he's there in Bethlehem. He's looking for another place to live. So he comes in the mountain region of Ephraim where Micah lives. And Micah, being very friendly, invites him to stay with him and also to be a father and a priest to Micah. He's from the tribe of Levi, the priestly tribe. Well, why don't you stay with me and be my priest? Even though he previously had consecrated his son as a priest, it wasn't really too authentic because he wasn't from the tribe of Levi. And he said he would give him 10 silver shekels a year. I don't know if it was some of mom's money or how we got the money, he doesn't say. But he's going to be on a salary. So he's going to be a priest, but he will, have a salary so he can exist. and live. He's also will give him a set of garments and also his food. So a pretty nice deal. He will help him out in many respects. So he decides to stay with Micah, and it says he became like one of his own sons. So Micah really takes good care of this priest from the tribe of Levi. And Micah felt, the Lord is going to prosper me now because I have a Levite who is a priest. So the Lord is going to look favorably upon this, and I'm going to flourish, and my household will flourish. So he thought all around that it was a pretty good deal for him. And then we journey into chapter 18, where we see the Danites are spoken about, and the Danites were seeking a place for this tribe to dwell in Israel. The land that they were originally given in central Palestine was really not held by them. Canaanite tribes drove them out. The Philistines and other tribes drove them out of their land that they had been assigned. And this would happen, as we've seen in the book of Judges, with a number of the tribes. There were battles back and forth. It wasn't like they got to the promised land and all was wonderful and good, and they had this great land and it was overflowing with milk and honey. They had to fight for various parts of the land, and many times opposing forces would drive them out from the land. And this is what happened with the Danites, so they had no land. So at the time of the divided kingdom, there were two major sanctuaries in the north. One was at Bethel, and one was at Dan. You see this in the first book of Kings, chapter 12, verses 28 to 30. So we see these two major sanctuaries, and of course, later on, with the southern kingdom, the main sanctuary will be in Jerusalem. And this account now in the book of Judges, chapter 18, and into 19, 20, and 21 is going to give you a sense of how this sanctuary at Dan began. So 5 men from the Danites arrive at the house of Micah, and they recognize the voice of the young Levite. His accent, of course, coming from a different area of the country, was different. He came originally from Bethlehem, so he's in the north now, and you could trace the fact that, well, this isn't properly an accent of someone who lives in this area. So they asked him, well, what are you doing in Micah's house? He told them, well, Micah's paying me a nice salary, and then Micah said I could be his priest. And so they asked him, being he was a priest, to consult God, to pray to God, and to see if their undertaking would be successful, if they would thrive. And so he prays to God, and he comes out and he says, the Lord is favorable to your undertaking. And we're going to see now in the rest of chapter 18 and 19, and as it progresses, how this undertaking of the Danites works out for them.